Hey guys, it's LpsHoney and welcome back to another video. You all asked, and today I'm delivering with information about how LPS are produced and what caused so many quality issues in Wave 2. I just want to give a little disclaimer that all the information I'm going to be telling you guys is from Basic Fun's employees themselves, as well as a few of my own speculations. I will let you guys know when I'm interjecting my own opinions, but majority of the information I'm giving you is straight from the source. Also, everything I'm going to be discussing is the quality control with Wave 2 and Wave 1, not Wave 3. I don't own any Wave 3 pets, so I can't speak for them, nor do I know what the production is like for Wave 3 because I haven't spoken about them to Basic Fun specifically. And of course, things are subject to change, and a few of the things I'm going to tell you guys are actually plans that Basic Fun hope to implement in the future. So without further ado, let's get started on why pets are the way they are in G7. So let's take it back to the beginning of G7 with our Wave 1 pets. I personally think they were great. Yes, some pets had a little bit of graininess, and now and again you may find a pet with a little bit of misprinting, but overall the quality seemed really solid. The printing was done really well, the plastic felt solid and not squishy, and overall they just looked really great. I think I speak for a lot of us when I say we were really hopeful after seeing Wave 1 come out and be really good quality. It was kind of living up to LPS from the past. Like I said, some pets had graininess in the eyes, but it was never anything super abhorrent to write home about. I personally feel like it was something the LPS community could have lived with. I know I could have. It wasn't really an issue for me, and only something I saw when I was super up close to the pet. And that's because, if you didn't know, with the return of G2 styled LPS, Basic Fun started using machine painting instead of hand painting for small details like the eyes. Because of that, you could say that the quality of the paint went down slightly, and that's what caused the graininess because they were printed on by a machine, but it was also in part to keep the prices down for LPS returning, which I personally appreciated. That was Wave 1, and like I said, overall I think the community at large was pretty happy with these pets. But how did we go from Wave 1, which looked like this, to Wave 2, which looked like this? Yes, these are the same pet technically, however one was released during Wave 1 and one was released during Wave 2. The one on the right being part of the Pet Nooks, which was released as part of Wave 2, and the one on the left being the Wave 1 Pet Pairs Axolotl. But what happened? We can clearly see a visual difference, but not only that, Wave 2 kind of took a nosedive when it came to quality control issues. Well, let's talk about Wave 2 and what happened. There's definitely a few issues we need to address, so we're going to cut them up into sections. There's going to be a section for ES versus KX pets, a section on the squishy heads, and a section on the different factories. The KX and ES pets kind of go into the different factories, so we'll start off with the squishy heads and then move into the other two topics. So this guy here actually doesn't have the squishy head problem, but this gal does. I recently opened her and she has become my first Wave 2 pet that actually has a really squishy head. It's not just something I've dealt with, a lot of people in the community have raised this as an issue. And while it doesn't take away from the pet visually, you can definitely feel the difference, and I could understand this being quite an annoying issue for customizers, especially if you're painting a pet and the plastic is bending, the paint's going to chip. There's a little demonstration of the squishiness. You can see I'm not pressing super duper hard and it's already like buckling under. We compare the squishiness of this one's head to this bear cub that was in the exact same pack. I'm applying the same amount of pressure and I literally cannot squish this one's head anywhere near the same amount. Why is this an issue? Because it seems to be an ongoing problem. Well, I am happy to say Basic Fun gave me the inside scoop when it came to the head squishiness, and we now know why. And it all has to do with the plastic manufacturing process. When these pets are being made, they go into, I guess, kind of like an oven to heat the plastic up. When these pets are being heated up, there is a golden ratio that you want your pet to finish at. Kind of like baking a cookie. You don't want it to be undercooked and you don't want it to be burnt. You want it to be perfectly golden brown. And that golden brown state is what we want our LPS to be. So if you're cooking an LPS in an oven to get the plastic to a certain hardness and you decide to take that pet out early, the plastic is going to be a lot harder. And if you leave that pet in the oven for too long and take it out, the head is going to become super squishy. And that's the reason so many pets have had these really squishy heads, because they're being taken out of the metaphorical pet oven too late in the process. From my understanding, this doesn't affect anything else with the pet. Like, it doesn't affect the paint or the quality or anything like that. It literally just has to do with the softness and hardness of the plastic of the head. Basic Fun is aware of this issue. One of the things they want to improve moving forward is the head squishiness. They've realized that a lot of collectors have been complaining about it, and because of that, they are hoping to kind of put an industry standard on their pet production. Kind of like a timer for when the pets need to be taken out. Instead of them being taken out on time, sometimes a little early, sometimes a little late, Basic Fun wants to go, hey, this is the time you need to cook these pets for. It cannot go over and it cannot go under. They need to be taken out at this time to ensure that the heads are perfect. And I'm very happy that they're doing this change. Like I mentioned, I've not really had much experience personally with squishy head LPS, but it is a big problem with Wave 2, and the fact that Basic Fun knows that it's an issue and they're trying to implement a solution to this problem is something I really appreciate. And while we're talking about production, let's talk about the factories. And yes, I said factories, there's more than one. So let's go back to comparing our Wave 1 and Wave 2 pets. When Wave 1 came out, Littlest Pet Shop was being produced in one factory. That's why all of them pretty much had identical quality. But with the rise of popularity and just the amount of support from the community and new collectors, Basic Fun was kind of overwhelmed and had to start production in two factories. AKA, the community was buying too many LPS to the point that the original production factory could not handle producing that many LPS in such a short time, so Basic Fun had to hire a secondary factory. But that is when a lot of issues started arising because it was such short notice. Basic Fun hadn't kind of prepared to hire a second factory. They didn't realize how passionate we actually were and how much we were going to buy out these LPS. So when they hired this second factory to help with production, that's when we started getting the differences in the pet quality, aka ES pets versus KX pets. Speculated in a previous video that ES pets and KX pets were most likely made in different factories, and that's why they had different letters on their codes, and turns out I was right. They are produced in two different factories. And that's why the pets look different, especially some of the older molds. Some of you may have noticed on the bottom of your LPS you have a little licensing. It's licensing here. It tells you the year, the company, everything like that. If you compare an ES pet licensing to a KX pet licensing, the KX pet will almost always say 2024. And that's because the ES pets were produced in the original factory, the 2023 factory, so the original factory used original Hasbro molds, whereas this new factory that Basic Fun has started using for Wave 2, they're making the KX pets. They're using brand new molds for the pets. Still technically the same animal, but a more updated look. And that's why even though these two axolotls are exactly the same, technically, like they're the same number, the same design, they look different. Their head molds are different, their eye molds are different, their colors are slightly different, and that's because they're produced using two different molds in two different factories. Not only does the factory difference affect the color and printing and mold of the pet, it also affects the, I guess, materials that they use. For example, our ES pet on the left from Wave 1 has the original grainy eyes, but our KX pet from Wave 2 has these very solid eyes that have no graininess in them whatsoever. KX pets also don't suffer from the squishy head syndrome. These babies are solid. That kind of goes back to the baking process, because I don't know personally if these pets are being taken out too early and that's why they're hard, or if it's because they're made in a different factory so they're using slightly different material. It could be either one. I think at the end of the day it does come down to personal preference when it comes to ES versus KX pets. For me personally, I do prefer the ES pets. I think the mold just looks cuter, even though the KX pet is printed a lot more precisely overall. I don't know, I just think the ES ones look cuter. I don't know what it is. And I've never really minded the grainy eyes. I get that Basic Fun tried to fix it because that was a complaint people had with Wave 1, but if it means that I have to get KX pets continuously in the future, I'd rather just go back to the grainy eye ES pets. Another thing I wanted to mention regarding the factories was some of the paint issues people had. I was pretty lucky not to get any major misprints, but this little bear has some paint chipping on its head already, which you kind of wouldn't hope to see in a brand new product. And trust me when I say people have gotten it way worse than this. There have been people who've had misplaced eyes, nose, mouth, you name it, it's been misprinted. And it was a bit of a cause for concern because Wave 1 was printed really well. And again, I think it just comes down to the supply and demand. Because Basic Fun hired this second factory, they were kind of unprepared. It was short notice. They didn't have everything ready, set to go like the first factory, and because of that, we saw a lot more printing issues. Is it something that I hold Basic Fun accountable for? Yeah, definitely. I mean, they should have done some more checks to ensure that the factory wasn't producing these items at a lower quality with all these misprints. They also have a little sympathy for them. They were going through a bankruptcy protection filing. They had taken on LPS, which is a license that has blown up way bigger than any other brand they have worked with, so they were definitely unprepared. And they said as much when I brought up the quality issues when it came to printing, and they said moving forward we're really going to try and get these pets printed properly, the eyes where they're meant to be, no paint missing, no smudges, and that's what we want to see. Now whether it is what we'll actually see is something to yet be decided. Obviously Wave 3 is just now starting to hit shelves, only at Target and only the tubes, so we haven't seen the full range yet, but I'm really hoping that when Wave 3 comes out, we will see these changes that Basic Fun is promising. And if we don't, we definitely should hold them accountable because they deserve to be held to their word. They say they're going to fix things like squishy heads, factory differences, and misprints. They should, and if they don't, we should let them know. But let me know which ones you guys have preferred, ES or KX, because the information you guys give me, I genuinely do pass on to Basic Fun. If you guys say, hey, we don't like squishy heads, I tell Basic Fun. If you guys say, hey, we love KX pets over ES pets, that's what I tell them. So I really like getting like an overall opinion from you guys, so please let me know in the comments because I do read them and I do relay your guys' feedback. I really hope I've made everything clear in this video and kind of given you guys a bit of a look into the production process. I want you guys to know that Basic Fun, like I said, is listening, and I try my best to give them as much feedback as I can that you guys give me. Obviously, I give my own opinion, but I'm also kind of like a spokesperson when it comes to the community and letting Basic Fun know what we want. So when I mentioned people weren't happy about the quality control issues, the squishy heads, ES versus KX, what's up with that? Basic Fun was very open to telling me that they're trying to constantly improve things, and yes, we should keep giving our feedback and criticizing where criticism is due, but it's good to know that they are listening. Moving forward, they're going to try and implement processes that stop the heads from being so squishy. We're going to look at hopefully having both factories producing pets at the same quality, so there's not such a big difference between ES and KX. And honestly, honestly, I think the fact that main 5 pets are coming back is a good indication that they're listening and things are definitely changing. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you found it informative and helpful and answered some of your questions you have about the quality control issues we saw in Wave 2. Hopefully Wave 3 can look a lot better, and I'm really looking forward to getting them eventually when they all come out. But until next time, I will see you guys later. If you like this video, like always, please don't forget to like, comment, and of course subscribe. And bye guys!